Good morning. Welcome to Unity Longmont Spiritual Center on September 26, 2021. And we are blessed to have Faith Halverson Ramos here today to provide music. And I will be doing a talk on modern mysticism. So let us begin with a piece of music, please.
This is The Face of God by Karen Drucker. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
Thank you, Faith. So at this time, let's go into prayer. And so our silence is heard by God in our heart. And so it is. And another piece of music.
This is Freedom of Forgiveness by Stephen Mitchell. There's a sweetness in surrender when you remember who you are. It's not the things in life that you've been through that make you who you are. There's a freedom in forgiveness when you learn to just let go. Holding on so tight won't change a thing, and changes how we grow. Learn how to live and learn to forgive yourself. Forgiving yourself, you can learn to forgive someone else. You'll find the way. There's a sweetness in surrender when you remember who you are. It's not the things in life that you've been through that make you who you are. There's a freedom in forgiveness when you learn to just let go. Holding on so tight won't change a thing, and change is how we grow. Learn how to live and learn to forgive yourself. Forgiving yourself, you can learn to forgive someone else. You'll find the way. You'll find the way. You know the way.
Thank you, Faith. I am praying that I find the way because I am in the middle of an allergy attack with big coughs. So I will forgive myself and move on. Let's begin by taking a breath together. I have been rushing around the last couple of days, and it has been hard to catch up with the moment. When I find myself rushing like that, I remember a story I heard years ago. I was attending a family therapy networker conference, and the keynote speaker shared a story of that morning when she was getting ready and she saw her 4-year-old daughter racing around the kitchen table. And the woman said to her daughter, "What are you doing?" And her daughter said, "I am rushing so I can grow up and be like you." So I'm going to try to slow down and address being a modern mystic in today's world and what is ours to do. I thought I'd start first with reminding us of our 5 principles. The first is, there is only one presence and one power active as the universe and in my life, God, the good. Our essence is of God, therefore we are inherently good. This God essence was fully expressed in Jesus the Christ. We are co-creators with God, creating reality through thoughts and feelings held in our mind-heart. Through prayer and meditation, we align our heart-mind with God. Denials and affirmations are tools we use. Through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we know. So what are we here for? As modern mystics, I believe, and I'm only sharing my beliefs today, so please take what serves you and leave the rest. I believe we are here to remember God. And if you think about the word remember, it means member again, put together again. So we are fully human, we are fully divine, and our human self falls into error thinking. It's easy. I know for myself, it's easy to forget. So it's very helpful when I am reminded, when we are reminded that we are never separate from God. We just believe that we are. So again, looking at our 5 principles, the first one is God is good, everywhere present. Good, everywhere present. There is nowhere that God is not, which makes us fully human and fully divine. We truly cannot escape from something that is everywhere. The other word in there that can be very confusing is the word good. If God is good and we are inherently good, then why do bad things happen? Things we label as bad, as painful, as suffering. And especially when we're children, that can be very, very confusing. And even as an adult, it can be confusing. What we need to do is remember that God is absolute. God is absolute. God does not change. God does not ever slip from being good into bad. God is always good. We are the ones that change. We are the ones that, because of our level of consciousness, we forget. And thankfully, we have practices, support, and community to remember. So I am hopefully going to share a little wacky piece with you that explains some of this. Told you it's wacky. This is a crude demonstration of consciousness, and I'm borrowing this from Reverend Paul Hasselbeck. We speak of God as light, pure light, nothing interfering with it, right? And then we're aware that we have collective consciousness, where every single thing anyone has ever thought or done is collected. And that filters the light. Then we add our own consciousness, and that then filters the light even more. So, as Paul says, in order to get closer to the light, in order to raise our consciousness, we have to get holier. So there you go. To me, it's a helpful image to remember, again, the light doesn't change. The light is pure, it is powerful. Yet there is this collective consciousness that we tend to forget about, that is like a filter that weighs on us and our abilities. It helps us determine what is. So, for instance, in that collective consciousness is the belief of what is a woman? What is a man? What is gender? What is war? What is a warrior? What is gratitude? All of these concepts, all of these beliefs, all of these experiences are like foam on the top of a sea that you have to go through to get below or to get out of. So it's there. So knowing that, let us be kind to ourselves when we feel like we miss the mark, which again is the definition of sin, missing the mark. And then we each have our own level of consciousness. And I think as I look around at this group, I know each of our levels of consciousness has been raised, and we continue to raise it. So we are not where we were 20, 30 years ago. It is kind of delightfully interesting to me that when children come into the world, they appear to be pure consciousness. You know, there's something innocent about them. There's something accepting about them. Whatever is. And then the human brain develops, and our perception and our understanding starts to shift. There are times that children appear to remember past lives or other wonderful mystical things. I think often back to when my granddaughter was less than 2, sitting on a toilet being potty trained, and she said, Long, long ago, when I lived in China, Grandfather Cho, and I don't remember the rest of the sentence because I was so blown away. Now at the age of 9, if I mentioned that to her, she goes, "Oh, I didn't say that." But I was there, I witnessed it. So as we grow, we may still have some breakthrough experiences. We may still have some experiences that seem magical, that are spiritual, that are ultimately mystical. And in reality, they are relational because they happen because we are in relationship with God and with all. And we've all had those wonderful experiences. One of the things that gets in the way of that and gets in the way of our being pure love all the time and loving everyone and everything is fear. You know, there is no fear in the divine aspect of us. But as a human being, we have this amazing brain with a little tiny piece about the size of an almond called the amygdala, and it is there to keep us safe. However, it is easily stimulated, especially if we've ever had any kind of trauma or loss, and who hasn't? So our amygdala says two things to us. The first one is, I'm in danger. And the whole body chemistry shifts. And we are alert and we are ready to fight, to flee, to freeze, or to fawn. And fawn is when we go into pleasing somebody else. So the brain and the body are set up to deal with emergencies. Luckily, we aren't facing emergencies all of the time, yet we're prepared to. So that's part of our human aspect, and we need to be compassionate and kind about that. And one of the things that we can do for that is there are so many wonderful tools and skills we can develop now to soothe our mind, to soothe our brain, to soothe our body when that comes up, so that we can more easily operate from our own divinity. And it's practice. This whole thing of life is practice, practice, practice. It's helpful to me to remember I've never been in this moment. I've never experienced this moment before. So when I experience it as practice, I can be more gentle with myself and other people. So there are all kinds of experiences we've had. About a week and a half ago, my youngest daughter was on her way to work. She teaches at a school. She was at a stoplight. She was catching all of the stoplights. So at a stoplight, she texted her husband and said, the lights are not cooperating. And as she drove away from the light, she had this thought of, he's going to think I mean the lights in the classroom. And so then at the next light, she texted, it's the traffic lights. Well, it's not surprising when she got to school, she went to turn on the lights in her classroom and they didn't work. Have we ever had those experiences? Absolutely. What's going on with that? Do we have an intuition of something that's going to happen? Maybe. Do we co-create? Maybe. What I think is helpful is to pay attention to those experiences. I have shared before the experience I had of walking in the woods, a friend behind me, and seeing a turtle just starting to come over a mound and turning to my friend and going like this, and then watching the turtle roll over backwards down the mound. That was confusing. Was I causing that, or did I just know it? I have had the experience of receiving a package and before even touching it, knowing something was broken in there, opening it, and one of the 6 cups was broken. Did I cause it or did I know it? I don't know if that question's as essential as knowing to stop, to pause, to remember who we are. I have also shared, I believe, one time that I was facilitating a retreat for 16 women in Maryland, and we were in a circle. And across the circle from me was a young woman I knew well who was 26. And suddenly behind her, I saw this shimmering figure of a young man. And I knew that was my son, Joshua. I had no doubt of that. And I had the sense that he was coming to say goodbye in a way, because he had always been a part of our family. Every one of us had some sense of his presence at times. And what was so wonderful to me is in that moment, I shared that experience with the group of women I was with, and nobody questioned it. Nobody said, oh, you're crazy. We all need family, friends, and community that accept us for who we are. That we can say to them, I had this crazy experience. And they're not going to question it. They're going to love us. They're going to hear us. They're going to understand us. As modern mystics, we really need to belong. Everyone needs to belong. So our job here, in addition to remembering, is figuring out how to get there. And that is raising our consciousness. That is allowing ourselves to develop intuition. There are 3 types of intuition according to Carolyn Mace. And the first one is deep in the gut, and it's that intuition of danger. The hair on the back of your neck raises, and you know something is happening, calling you to this moment to pay attention. The next is more in the heart chakra, and that is knowing what's going on around you. Like you walk into a room where there's been a conversation and you have a sense of what the people are feeling and maybe of what they are talking about, even if they have stopped talking when you walk in. And the third one is at the third eye at the 6th chakra, and it is seeing into the future. So I know I have had that experience a number of times. And the first few times that it happened, it was alarming and confusing. So again, I think we need a community where we can say, hey, the craziest thing happened, and be able to share that. Because what we don't want is to shut down with those experiences. Because when we shut down, we're shutting down our humanity, which propels us to remember our divinity. So we need to pay attention to those moments. We need to take them seriously. Part of our developing our consciousness is learning to surrender. And this will be a whole nother talk. But it's basically surrendering to God's will is the way we phrase it frequently. And one of the things I want to make us aware of is sometimes we will use that phrase erroneously. So things such as the wildfires, things such as hunger in the world, things like that. If we say that is God's will, I believe that's erroneous. That is human doing. We are the ones responsible for climate change. We are the ones responsible for making sure that people in our world have what they need. That's not God's work. That's our work. So I suggest we all be aware of when we use that phrase, that is God's will. One of the things that's so important about how we experience our life is our perception. We have this amazing brain, this mind, this amazing heart. And what we do in every moment is we are perceiving our world and ourselves through those filters that we looked at, the collective consciousness filter and our personal filter. So let us be gentle when we become aware of something that seems amiss. Let us take a breath and say, am I really seeing it as it is? One of the experiments that really made me pay attention to that was years ago. A psychological experiment was done by having these students, college students, watch a basketball game. And half of them had the task of really focusing on one team and half the task of really focusing on the other team. So they were real clear what their job was. There was a man in an ape suit that came running across the court a couple of times. And after the game, each student was asked about that figure. None of them saw him. None of them saw him because their perception was skewed to their task. That's a powerful recognition of how much we block out of our consciousness without knowing. So what do we do about all this? We know what ours is to do is to pray, to meditate, to call on the 12 powers in order to raise our consciousness. And one of the things that we do as a group regularly is to pray. And we do this on Wednesday evening. And we as a group go into a different mind and heart set. We just take a breath and we let go. We let go and we let God. And what we are actually doing in that time is we are accessing our divinity, which is intrinsically connected with God. And we're calling on that. We're not always requesting a specific outcome. Oftentimes, whether it's in words or not, we're saying the highest good, with a recognition that as humans, we don't know what is the highest good. So we practice compassion. We recognize ourselves and each other are doing the best we can. That is hard sometimes to recognize when we learn of someone who has taken another's life, when we learn of someone who has stolen something. Those are extremes and they happen. And where our compassion can grow is from the recognition that that person is working from that level of consciousness that they have. And who are we to judge their level of consciousness? So as a fully human and fully divine being, what can we do? Pray, pray, meditate. Sometimes that doesn't seem like enough with all the suffering that goes on in the world. And so I am open to hearing from anyone, any other things we can do. One of the things that we need to do is not just sit and be, but take action. I'll go over our 5 principles again. And the last one reminds us we have to take action. Consciousness is awareness and arousal. Those are 2 factors. Awareness, being present to what's going on, and arousal. The body is responding. And arousal is the impetus to action. So I can be so lazy. I can be so complacent, even if my heart's hurting. So it will be helpful to me if you see me in that space to remind me, go for it, do something. And I think it's important for us to pay attention to our personal passions. We are the same in our divinity, yet we are so different in our humanity. We are each unique. We each have unique gifts and impulses. So pay attention to what catches your attention. Pay attention to what your heart feels stimulated about. And then maybe ask, what do I want to do about that? What is mine to do? The unity belief system is not for lazy folks, even though I am lazy at times. It is for people that are willing to do the work, that are willing to take on the tasks, whether that be as simple as being still and meditating, or praying, or walking out the door to something. Whether that means responding to a stranger or a loved one. So I hope you will remind me of that from time to time. And so it is. So we will have a piece of music from Faith, please.
As usual, seems to be fitting. This is Closer to the Light by Herb Ota. Oh, from day to day, it's so hard for me to say if the road that I'm on now will lead me right. But year to year, it becomes a bit more clear. Seems like I am getting closer to the light. And when my burden's great, so that I bend under the weight, and it seems like I'm surrounded by the night. Oh, well, I don't mind traveling along this darkened road if I'm traveling closer to the light. Every day I start with this compass in my heart, and it helps to keep the road within my sight. And as I go forth, looking for magnetic north, seems like I am getting closer to the light. And when my burden's great, so that I bend under the weight, and it seems like I'm surrounded by the night. Oh, and it seems like I'm surrounded by the night. Oh, well, I don't mind traveling along this darkened road if I'm traveling closer to the light.
Thank you, Faith. Most fitting. Thank you. It's at this time that we go into meditation. We do that each week by taking a breath. And I'd like to read you a short piece by Rumi, and then I'll go through the 5 principles one at a time with the space in between and invite you to notice what comes up for you without judgment. From Rumi. Do you know what you are? You are a manuscript of a divine letter. You are a mirror reflecting a noble face. This universe is not outside of you. This universe is not outside of you. Look inside yourself. Everything that you want, you are already that. Everything you want, you are already. Principle 1, God is good. God is absolute good and everywhere present. There's only one power and one presence active in the universe and in my life. God, the good, omnipotent. God is the source and creator of all. There is no other enduring power. God is good and present everywhere. Principle 2, people are good. Since humans are made in the image of God, they have a spark of divinity within them and therefore are inherently good also. Our essence is of God, therefore we are inherently good. We are spiritual beings created in God's image. The Spirit of God lives within each person. Therefore, all people are inherently good. Principle 3, thoughts create experiences. Human beings create their experiences by the activity of their thinking and feeling. Everything in the manifest realm has its beginning in thoughts and feelings. We are co-creators with God, creating reality through thoughts and feelings held in mind-heart. We create our life experiences through our ways of thinking and feeling. Principle number 4, prayer is connection. Prayer is creative thinking that heightens the connection with God and therefore brings forth wisdom, healing, prosperity, and everything good. Through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. There is power in affirmative prayer, which we believe increases our connection to God. Principle number 5, action is needed. Knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth, is not enough. A person must live the truth that he or she knows. Through thoughts, words, and actions, we live in the truth we know. Knowledge of these principles is not enough. We must live them. A reminder that unity is known as a radical faith of responsibility. And so it is. And we will finish with a piece of music, please.
This is Amazing Things by Megan McDonough and Jana Stanfield. You will do amazing things with the choice each new day brings, and with every step you take, bless the progress that you make. The reason you live is found in every gift you give. Love your life, love your dreams. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Oh, the places you will go and the people you will know. Don't worry when or where or how. You don't have to know that now. You're on the right track. No need to look ahead or back. Just enjoy what this day brings. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. You don't have to work it out. Just stay in the here and now. Let your mind rest for a little while. Sometimes the deepest answers come when you're out there having fun. So close your eyes and take a breath and smile. Amazing.